Hello to all and welcome. Today we're going to continue our strength building practices, but we'll do it in a way that really has the wisdom of the interconnection of our entire body system. And of course, with respect to our own individual needs as well. So that's the really important component. As you do build strength, it's becomes more and more important to connect it with the breath, and also to realize that even though yes, this pose requires really strong legs, it requires other engagement as well, such as the core. And the more you practice these things, the more they just become second nature. So I also want to mention just quickly the last week we talked about the autonomic nervous system and the two branches, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. And I know in yoga, it does seem like we go overboard with the parasympathetic nervous system. That is the rest and restore, the rest and digest part of the nervous system. But both are really important, and you may already know that, but I mention it because I think in yoga we do mention the parasympathetic nervous system more, because to a large extent it's sort of underrepresented in today's world, and that more people are sort of ramped up than the other way around, and the complaint is often that people have trouble sleeping and that kind of thing. So I always like to end the practice with something that will employ the engagement of that part of the nervous system. But also remember that if you're going to do strength building, if you need to really get something done, you need the sympathetic nervous system. You need the fight, flight, let's do it part of your nervous system. So they are both equally important. The problem happens, of course, when they get out of balance. So I just wanted to mention that before we begin. So we have to have a practice that sort of speaks to both of those to be complete. So you won't need anything particular today for what we're going to do other than your own individual needs. You just need your mat and maybe a folded blanket to sit on. So come into that comfortable seat of your choice, and let's take this really important few moments and really center. Lower your eyes and just see what is going on. Is your next breath easy, or does it feel a bit jagged? Just notice first just the quality of your breathing before you try to shape it. And then notice, is there anything that you need to do to become a little bit more comfortable? And almost always, if you can release these shoulders away from the ears, these upper back and neck muscles need to release in most of us to be able to really feel relaxed. So see if you can do that. See if you can relax any tightness in your jaw. Anywhere that you feel like you're gripping or holding on, see if you can let that go. And once you feel like you've settled, then you can really focus on shaping your breath. So just begin, as you know to do, with lengthening and softening your next inhale. Maybe a little pause after that inhale. And then see if you can exhale fully and really create some length in your exhale. Try not to force it, just let it come out of the body nice and naturally. And then maybe right at the very end, you can tighten just a little bit in your tummy and help the last little bit of exhale exit the body. So just have a few breaths like this. You're just inhaling and just feel as though you're receiving the breath. It's nice and easy. You're not forcing anything to happen. Nice, long, slow breathing. Maybe a little hold after you inhale, and then exhale the breath nice and easy from the body. You're just letting it go. And then possibly you can firm up a little bit at the conclusion of that exhale. You might get a little more of the staleness out. There's 2 more breaths like this, as full and long as you can. And you're going to continue to breathe like this as you open your eyes. You're just going to let the arms come to the sides of the body. Just do a few shoulder rolls. Maybe move your head, and let this be sort of individual for you. However you're feeling, just move a little bit. And then turning the palms outward, you're going to breathe the arms up over the head. And once they're up there, let's do that little apple picking movement where you're just raising one arm higher and then the next. And just noticing you're continuing to breathe long, slow breaths, but I want you to notice if there's either side is sort of has a little more adhesions or feels a little more fussy than the other side. So as you're reaching up, you're looking up. Just do this just a couple more times. And then the next time you breathe both arms straight up and really create the length from the sits bones all the way up to the crown of the head and beyond your chin to your fingertips. And then nice and easy, let's release the arms down. And when you feel your fingertips touch the floor, just place your hands to the heart. Your little opening ritual, Namaste. And then we'll come on to our backs just for a brief time. So, remembering that this movement is your yoga as well. So as you come onto your backs, you're engaging that abdominal core and coming right down to the floor. Just have a brief moment where you stretch out and really reach. And remember that feeling starts right at the midline and then into either direction. So it's really quite thorough in the body, this lengthening. Just hold that for a couple of breaths. You release into softness a little bit when you exhale, but then re-engage fully when you inhale really long. And let's release down as you exhale. Bend the knees. We're just going to do some sort of quick and thorough movements with the breath. So bringing the right knee in towards the chest, interlocking above the right shin, stretching the left leg out, and have an exhale and bring that right knee in towards the body. Stretch out with the left leg and just feel the effects of this pose. Just little movements here. Go ahead and take your left hand onto the right knee. Place your right elbow at shoulder height beside you. And just on the exhale, take that right knee across the midline of the body. It doesn't have to be far, but just take it where your spine is in a gentle twist. Have a pause. Big inhale. And then come on back out. Replace left hand with the right, and this time you're going to just come out on an inhale into an external rotation. So you're just opening the groin and the thigh out to the right. Have a big breath. Bring it back to center. And then inhale the leg up and press out through the heel. Feel the stretch of the back of the leg briefly. Bend and extend the knee. Start to feel that little warming in your leg muscles. And then exhale, release that leg down and do the same thing to the other side. So this time the left knee comes up towards the body. You're interlocking right above the left shin. And you just have a moment where you're pressing that left thigh in towards the body as much as it wants to go, and you're also focusing on the right leg and trying to get that a little bit longer. And just hold this position for just a couple of breaths. Relax your head fully on the back of the floor, and make sure the upper back and the shoulders are released to the floor as well. So none of this, don't hold tightly, just release. So all the work is just happening right here into the legs. Very good. And then the right hand continues to cup the left knee, and you bring the left elbow rather, out to the side. And on an exhale, just take that left bent knee across the midline of the body, just to the natural point where you can feel the twist, but it's not extreme. And release into a really big breath. And come on back to center. Let the left hand touch the left knee, and the right elbow comes out now to the right. And then just open up on your next inhale. Open up that leg and just have a nice big inhale and exhale here. And guide that bent knee back, and then stretch the leg up as you inhale. Press out through the heel so it's nice and it's as stretched as you can get your leg. And just hold that for a breath. And then on an exhale, you're going to take that long leg to the floor. Excellent. And then inhaling and bringing the legs up. And as you exhale, you're bringing the thighs even closer in towards the body. Just wiggle around a little bit and try to find the point that feels, just moving just a little bit on your low back might make it feel better and might let it settle a little better. So try that, just a little movement sometimes is all you need. From this position, let's go ahead and stretch our legs straight up. And then a nice big exhale. Feel the abdominal core draw in as you reach the arms up. So arms and legs seem to be reaching for the ceiling. And the next exhale, really engage the abdominal core even more. So the low back is pressing into the floor, and your tummy muscles are going back towards the floor as well. See, can you hold this? If it feels okay, you can bring your chin towards your chest a little bit. But if that's uncomfortable, then please don't do that. And then what I want you to do is just hold this for a few breaths and really engaging the abdominal core. The back, the lumbar spine, and the abdominal core is really trying to press through the floor, and everything else is trying to pull up towards the ceiling. Remember, when you're breathing and holding a pose like this, you have to do chest breathing through the inhales. And you may want to take a little break now, settling back down, broadening those groins, and just rocking side to side. Might be turning the head side to side as well. And let's just try that one more time. So bringing the knees together, raising the legs up, reaching up. All you're doing is really engaging the core pretty intensely. And again, you only raise the chin towards the chest if it doesn't hurt your neck, but you're really breathing only through the chest the whole time. The core is really engaged. You can feel the lumbar spine pressing into the floor, and the core muscles in the abdominal area are also pressing in that direction. As you reach up, bend, and let's release. Very good. And then take the hands right behind your head. Release the elbows out. Enjoy this stretch. Then just very gently start to move the feet over to the right, so the knees will correspondingly point over to the left. And then the feet come over to the left, and knees will point to the right. And start just like that, where you're just making a little movement, sort of like dog wagging its tail. Try to speed it up if you can, if it feels okay. Lovely. So you're only moving your lower body here. engage. All that feels nice and just easy. The movement feels easy. I'm going to do that for at least a half a minute, and then pause and bring the knees right in towards the body a little bit more. Lovely. And then put the soles of the feet on the floor, arms alongside the body. Just a little exercise of linking breath and movement, but you're also really mobilizing the spine. So as you inhale, the arms are going to rise up and you're going to press into the feet and the hips go up as much as they can. Dig into those heels and feel the thighs engage. And then as you exhale, a little rounding if you can of the spine. So you're attempting to get the upper back first on the floor. And as you do that, you're lowering also the arms. So again, as you inhale, you're reaching up with the hips and the arms. Nice big inhale. Let the movement follow that inhale. When you get there, dig into the heels and raise those hips just as high as they can. And then as you exhale, you're going to lower back down again. Big full breathing. And again, as you inhale, raise your hips, raise your arms, the backs of the hands come to the floor behind you. Dig into your heels and raise your hips. This time as you exhale, you're going to leave the arms where they are, and you're still going to tip around the spine a little bit. And you're going to try to set the upper back and mid back first, and then the lower back. Notice things might get a little difficult to do that smoothly. You're doing great. Just keep going. As you inhale, you're going to dig into the heels and raise those hips back up again. And this time as you exhale, lower arms and lower hips back to the floor. And again, as you inhale, raise hips, raise the arms up over the head, dig into the heels so you feel the thighs work a little harder. And then as you exhale, arms stay where they are, and you're just attempting to round that spine a little bit as you set it back down. So, but when I say round the spine, you're just trying to get the mid back to the floor ahead of your low back and hips. Inhale, rising the hips back up again, and just a last little effort, dig into both heels, raise those hips as high as you can, and then exhale, lower back down again. Very good. And then raising the knees closer in towards the body. Little movement if you'd like, maybe a little side to side. And when you feel ready, we're all going to come up into a kneeling position. So however you'd like to come up is great, but we're going to end up kneeling here. So if you can kneel and feel hips to the heels, that's great. If you do need to have something underneath you, that's fine too. See if you can tuck your toes underneath you just for a moment. It's really important when we're doing strength building and standing poses to make sure the feet are very active and engaged. And we just don't do this often enough. So we're just going to take just a few breaths with our toes tucked under. And remember, if you're feeling that it might be a little bit too much, sometimes just coming forward a little bit or putting your hands down can take some of that intensity away. Otherwise, what you're trying to do is feel as much intensity as you're able to feel. One more big breath here. And then shift just a little bit and come onto the tops of your feet. And just feel that little opposing stretch in the tops of the feet. And from here, just as much as you can, come into your version of hero's pose. This might be it. Just the fact that you're in this low kneeling position might be enough for your thighs. If it's not, start to walk the hands back and What you don't want is the knees splayed out too much. Just come back. They can be a little separated, but don't splay the knees out where they point in opposite directions. And then maybe you can set back to your elbows. Maybe you can't. It doesn't really matter. The idea is just take your time and just stretch those front of your thighs as much as you can with long, slow breaths. When you're coming back up, really do be careful. If you've come all the way back, you might be able to press the palms of your hands into the soles of the feet and come up. But if you haven't come all the way back, you just let your arms rather, take some of the weight. Come on back up. Very good. Come into tabletop position. Good. Looking right down between the hands, you're feeling the weight go into the roots of your fingers and slightly more into the inner hands. And you're feeling that just very slightly spiraling action where it's just so subtle, but the left hand is just ever so gently starting to come into a little bit of a anti-clockwise isometric movement. Right hand is going into a slightly clockwise isometric movement. I just want you to feel the strength in your arms when that happens. And also just to let you know that what you're doing is all the movements actually happening in the mostly shoulder joint, but a little bit in the elbow joint as well. But it feels as though the biceps are going back and the triceps are trying to come forward, and just a little spiraling action. So even these little poses are building strength in your body, even these really simple poses like tabletop. Lovely. And from this position, as you exhale, just allow the hips to come back towards the heels, forearms touch the floor. You're releasing your neck consciously, releasing your low back consciously. On the inhale, you're coming right back up, feeling the strength in your arms, little inner hand spiral, and you just let the extension of your spine be what lifts your head. So you're not consciously trying to, oh, let me jerk my head up there. You let the length of the spine do that little broadening in the collarbones, and exhale. Settle back down again. Remember, it's okay for elbows to touch the floor. Release neck, release low back. Inhale, come right on back up. And then last time as you exhale, just release back down again into a flexion in the spine. And then inhale, you're coming right back into the tabletop position. From the tabletop position, the hand comes one hand length further ahead. Flexing toes under, you know you've got your hands plugged in as you need to. A little more weight into the inner hands. You actually feel biceps going backwards, triceps trying to come forwards. Lift your knees, arms are so strong, and you come into your downward facing dog. If you need to take your time and just press one heel at a time to the floor, just feel free to do that. Want the backs of your legs to really feel like they are ready to work a little bit. Well, the whole of your leg. So just give yourself time to feel your way into this. Any little movement in downward facing dog, that would feel right. Sometimes just bringing the heels up and coming onto the balls of the feet and the tippy toes, bending the knees, and then trying to set the foot back to the floor, pushing through the roots of your fingers is really good. From your downward facing dog, we'll just try a little vinyasa. As you inhale, touch the knees to the floor. Arms are strong, and lift the heart, lift the tailbone into your cow position. As you exhale, round the spine and really draw in on that abdominal core into the cat position. As you inhale back into the cow position, lifting the heart, lifting the tailbone, feeling your inner hands. And then as you exhale, right back into extended child's pose. If you can, leave your toes tucked under. Next inhale, go ahead and come right into the plank pose. Make sure arms are strong. Make sure those arm bone and shoulder joints are integrated. Core is strong, and you feel some weight at the big toe mound of your foot. Lovely. And then from here, exhale, abdominal core work as you go back into downward facing dog. Lovely. Let's keep going. As you inhale, knees touch the floor, into the cow position. Exhaling into the cat position, rounding the spine. And inhaling back into the cow position. And exhaling into the extended child's pose. If you need to rest your forearms or elbows on the floor, it's okay, or you can keep them straight. It's a little more active to keep them straight. As you inhale, we're coming into the plank pose. Make sure your hands are really plugged in. Make sure those arm and shoulder bones are plugged in. Make sure the core is plugged in. It's a lot of work. And then from here on the exhale, with the abdominal core leading the way, we're coming back into downward facing dog. And then last time, as you inhale into the cow position, knees gently touch the floor. As you exhale into the cat position. And again, inhale, roll your spine into the cow position. And exhale into the extended child's pose. Inhaling into the plank position. And exhaling into downward facing dog. Lovely. And then let the knees come to the floor. Separate those knees. You can keep the big toes together. And let's go ahead and settle right down to the floor. You can bend your elbows. It can be really comfortable. Get into the position that you can release completely to the floor for 3 breaths. You can relax all the muscles in the back body. You can relax all the muscles in your jaw. Very good. Very good. And then coming back up into tabletop position. On your next inhale, you're going to put the weight a little more into the right hand, and you're going to lift the right leg and lift the left arm. Really reach and feel length from the midline of the body into each opposite direction. And flex the foot of the back foot under, and just be here for a couple of breaths. So you're introducing real length in your spine, and also feel the challenge and the strength building that's inherent in this pose. You feel the gluteal muscle working in that right glute. And when you are ready, you can just exhale it away. Have a breath at center. Let's go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So you're feeling the weight slowly go more into the left hand, and on the inhale you can rise the right arm, raise the left leg, come into bird dog pose on the opposite side. So focus just for those first moments on the length of the body, and then begin to just go still and feel the strength qualities in the pose. Of course, they come out more and more as you hold the pose. Feel your back glute really working. And let's release when you need to. Nice and easy. Come back to your downward facing dog. Come into your plank pose, just ever so gently, really strong arms And isometrically, those hands try to come closer together. And just go ahead and ease yourself to your tummies. Coming right down to the floor here. Bring the arms right down alongside the body. Wiggle around a little bit, sashay your hips so all that feels comfortable. And of course you need to poise on your forehead nice and high so you can still breathe. Just have a couple breaths, but what we're going to do, we're just going to do little versions of back bending to strengthen the back of the body. You're going to do it with real integrity and integration with everything you know. So the next time you, before we come up, what I want you to make sure of is that your pelvis and your tailbone feels nice and heavy. So it has an anchoring towards the floor. And then the next time you inhale, it's just a slight, you start to look up. Your shoulder bones start to rise up, your arms rise back. And you might be able to reach back with real strength. You're just looking a couple of inches ahead. And hold it for just a breath or two. And then release back down again. So again, just building it so slowly, step by step. The next time you inhale, you're just starting to graze your nose off the floor. You're just looking forward a couple of inches. The arm and shoulder bones lift off the floor. Arms lift off the floor, and you reach back. So it's even the reach of your arms assists rising the chest off the floor. Maybe 3 breaths, and then let's just let that go on an exhale back to the floor. From here, let's just change our arm position so the arms are coming out to a T. Make sure you position yourself so you have room to do the pose. So everything else is pretty much the same. You're going to be making sure that pelvis feels nice and anchored to the floor. As you inhale, you're starting to look up. And as you start to lift the arms, lift the chest, make sure you're pulling out either direction, left or right with the arms. The arms are pushing out rather. Just slightly different. And you just hold it. If you only want to hold it a breath, it's fine. Of course, it builds more strength if you can hold it for 2 or 3 breaths and then release. Big full breath, so don't let your breath down. You really want to keep going with the breathing. And then the next time you inhale, let's do it one more time. Slow process, you're starting to lift up. But when your arms lift, you're reaching fully left to right with the arms. And let's release. Lovely. And just be up here for a breath, just in your prone position. And then we're going to transition to pose of a child for just 3 breaths. You can come into the wide-kneed pose of a child or any version that feels really good to you right now. What you're trying to do is have a lovely counter pose for your low back, but you're also really letting go here and just letting the nervous system soothe for a moment. We're not going to go into stillness yet, but it's just 3 or 4 breaths. Bringing everything back to that lovely balance, homeostasis, and then we're all going to come up to standing. So you know how to do that. Let's go ahead and do that little sequential movements where you're really feeling your own way through this. And from here, we'll all come to standing. So coming up to standing, let's go ahead and just let our feet be comfortably separated. And let's just do a little movement when we first get up here and just start to get rid of any tension that might be in the body. So remember, you're just pivoting on one foot and then the other, softly bending the other knee as you do that. And if you can, you want to speed it up. And you want to almost get the feeling like you're throwing off the tension that's in the body. Maybe you can even let the low back be relaxed. You can slap yourself with your arms. Nice long full breaths as you're doing this. And then slowly come to stillness. Let's do any movement you need right now. Maybe roll the shoulders a little bit. And then let's go ahead and settle into our Tadasana. So you're feeling that rootedness in the feet. You're feeling the strength in the legs. Remember, as the feet press into the floor, that will translate into the legs. But if you can do what we practiced last week, the little spiraling in the feet, it's very minute. So if you feel like your knees are pointing outward or inward when you do internal or external spirals on your feet, please don't do it. It's probably best taught in person if you're feeling that way. All you would need to do is just press down on the feet if anything starts to feel like it's not right. But the idea is to just be really strong from the ground up. That's what we're trying to accomplish. So plugging into the feet, feeling the length all through the body, little rise in your heart, little softness in your shoulders. We'll do just a slightly different little breathing vinyasa. So for this one, we're just going to breathe the arms straight up, feeling the length in the body when you do that. And when you exhale, we're going to bend the knees and just a little twist left to right. And to the right, and the arms go front to back. And then on the inhale, you're rising back up again. And then on the exhale, over to the left. Inhaling, coming up to center, and exhaling, releasing the arms down. And let's just keep going. As you inhale, rise the arms straight up. Feel the length as you press into the feet. Reach up with the hands. As you exhale, a little twist to the right as you bend the knees. And you just press those arms back to front as much as you can. Trying to feel a little long line from the breastbone to either fingertip. As you inhale, rise up. As you exhale, over to the left. And you can go right into that little squat as much as you need to really make this pose work for you. Inhaling back up and exhaling back to the sides of the body. Just one more time. Right on your own breath, you're inhaling, rising the arms up. You're exhaling, a little twist to the right. Inhaling back up to center, arms over the head, feel that length, and then exhale over to the left. And inhale straight up with the arms, exhaling, releasing. Nice full breath. And just slowly all come to the very tops of your mat. Nice and easy now. We're just going to have a few sort of our forward folds, but we're not going to come all the way to the floor at first. So it might be easier if I'm more in the frame, which I'll show you. As you inhale, reach the arms straight up. As you exhale, move the arms back, bend the knees, and pressing the arms back. Just use the strength of your legs. You're not rounding the back at all at this stage. It's all strength. And then inhale, simply straighten the knees and come back to the starting position. On the next inhale, rise the arms up. And as you exhale, just a little hinging at the hip, bring the arms back, but you're keeping the back relatively straight, using the strength in your legs, coming right back into your heels. Heart is open, chest is open. Just hold that for a breath or two. And then release on the inhale, arms come back to the sides of the body, and you just come up nice and strong in your Tadasana. Just one last time for that. You're inhaling, feeling the length in the front of the body. As you exhale, you're just bringing the arms back behind you like airplane wings, but a little back beyond that. Little bend in the knees. And it's almost like a chair pose, only your body is diagonally from the crown of the head to the tailbone. It's a nice long diagonal line, and you're reaching back with the arms. Just feel the strength even in this little pose. And then release. Lovely. And have just a few shoulder rolls. And we're going to nice and easy now come into the movements of Sun Salute. We're going to do it so easy. And remember, you decide how far you want to go with this. Hands to the heart. Defocus your eyes for just a moment and come into Tadasana. Long, slow breaths. On your next exhale, you're just going to float those folded hands straight down the midline of the body. They'll separate somewhere around your tummy. Turn the palms outward and inhale the arms up. Again, feel the length first, and then when you exhale, swan dive to the floor. Make sure the knees stay straight ahead. Don't let the knees splay out. Fingertips will touch the floor. Relax your head for just a moment. As you inhale, lift the heart and line those fingers and toes right back up again. Next time you exhale, you're going to step the right leg back. And you're going to bring the right knee just to the floor. So a little low lunge. You choose if you want to fold the toes under or if you want to have just the top of the foot on the floor. Your choice. On the inhale, hands right to the top of the knee. And if all is well, on your next exhale, just release the arms down. Let the muscles hold the pose. And if all is well, you're going to inhale, reach the arms up over the head and just feel the strength required to hold this pose for just another breath. And slowly as you exhale, release those fingertips back to the floor. And then come right onto the back foot, lift the back knee right into a high lunge here. From your high lunge, can you transfer weight a little more into the right hand, or I happen to be on my knuckles. If you have a brick and you want to use a brick, you could have your hand on a brick. All I want you to do is inhale the left arm out to the side and come into a little bit of a twist here. So you're reaching that arm up. Make sure that left knee, remember, doesn't splay out. So you're holding everything nice and close to the midline of the body. And have a breath here. Feel really long from the right hand on the floor to the left hand that's reaching up towards the sky. And then release down as you exhale. Line it up. Again, you want the pelvis nice and level on the inhale so that when you exhale, you can come into downward facing dog nice and safely. Release your head and neck. Look right back at your own thighs or your own knees. As you inhale, you're coming into the plank position. As you exhale, you're dropping the knees so that when you inhale, you can press into the arms, bring your hips a little more forward, and rise up in the heart into upward facing dog. As you exhale, use your abdominal core strength to bring your body back into downward facing dog. And so from here, you're either going to reach the right leg up and through. If that doesn't work for you, you can just lightly touch the knees to the floor and then step forward. And then raise the back knee into your high lunge. Take just a few breaths here as you exhale into pyramid. The hips come back. Can you straighten the front leg? Release the weight of your neck slightly. As you inhale, you reach back through into the high lunge. Exhaling into pyramid. And inhaling into the high lunge. And exhaling into pyramid. And last one, inhaling into the high lunge. And from your high lunge, you need to come out into forward bend. So you're going to little bit of a weight shift onto the ball of the back foot as you exhale, softness in both knees, and then you're going to reach up on the inhale back into your forward bend. Little rise in the heart. On the exhale, go ahead and release down as fully as you can into your forward bend, into your Uttanasana. And then we're going to come up with strength. So remember, as you begin to lift the heart, weight shifts into the heels. You got to have tremendous strength in the core and the legs in order to rise up. And then exhale, fold at the heart. And there you've done one side of your sun salute. Nice long slow breaths. And on your next exhale, arms just slide down the midline of the body. On the inhale, the arms rise up. On the exhale, you dive into your forward bend. Inhale, heart rises, legs straighten if they can. On the exhale, fingers and toes line up so you can reach the left leg back. And then go ahead and put the left knee on the floor. Toes are either tucked under or the foot is flat. And then come right up with the interlocked hands just behind the front knee. Try to line everything up, and so you want to try to keep the pelvis squared, hips lined up. If all is well, you might be able to release and just hold the pose for a breath with your own muscles, really rooting down through that front foot. Inhaling, can you just raise the arms up over the head and really reach? Just feel the strength required for this pose. And slowly as you exhale, release the arms to the floor. Flex those toes under so you can come into your high lunge. Shift a little more weight into the left hand or the left knuckles so you can inhale, come into the twist by rising that right arm out to the side and right up over your head. Just have a nice calm breath even through whatever challenge you're feeling. And then release that right arm back to the floor, right hand back to the floor. On the inhale, just square your pelvis, perfect your high lunge. On the exhale, you're taking it right back to downward facing dog again. On the inhale, really strong arms isometrically coming closer together as you come into your plank pose. On the exhale, knees touch the floor. And then you bring your hips right on through. So you inhale, press into the arms and rise up in your chest. As you exhale, firm control in your abdominal core takes you right back into your downward facing dog. And choice point, do you drop your knees to the floor and raise your left foot? Or do you want to attempt that little sweep through? It's your choice. Once you get there, you're in the high lunge. Set yourself up for a moment. As you exhale, come into pyramid pose, nice and slowly and thoroughly. Take a little look at your back foot and make sure the toes are relatively pointing forward in the back foot. As you inhale, bend the front knee and settle back into a high lunge. You'll feel that little twinge in your groin muscle. Exhaling back into pyramid. Of course, you feel it right in the back of that front thigh now. Back and forth, just a couple more breaths. Inhaling into the high lunge. And exhaling into the pyramid pose. Inhaling into high lunge. This is the last one. so that when you come out, it just requires an awareness. You can shift back into the ball of the back foot, and knees are nice and soft, and then that enables you to step through into your forward bend. Release on the exhale into a full, deep forward bend, or as deep as you're able to do. And to come out safely, real strength in your legs as you feel the weight come into your heels as you raise your chest, and have the legs really strong as you push into the feet and come on up on the inhale. And just hands to the heart. Lower your eyes for just a couple of breaths. Just feel the body coming back to balance again. Releasing the arms to the sides of the body. Just ending the standing with just a little bit of balance here. So from Tadasana, you feel the weight shift over to the right foot, right leg. You're really pressing fully into that right leg. So it'll become easy enough just to lift the left leg off the floor. Interlock your hands and cup your left knee, and try to maintain this balance. It might just be that you need to be still. That might be enough. But if you'd like, you can exhale. Left knee comes closer in towards the chest. And inhale, it comes away. So you choose, where is your balance today? Do you want to come into stillness? Really strong. It's like Tadasana leg on that right side. Or do you want to breathe in and out, bringing that left knee higher up into the chest as you do that? And then release the left leg as and when you're ready, coming back to Tadasana. Just feel yourself mindfully setting up the pose as you shift weight into the left leg, and you really want to feel nice and rooted there. And you just rise up in your right knee and right leg as you feel ready, and just cup your hands underneath that knee. And so remember, your choice is to stay at stillness, or if you want to get next to a wall to do this, you can. It's, of course, a little added dimension to add the movement. That's where you exhale. You're bringing that right knee closer into the chest. Remember, what you don't want is to collapse in the chest. So if that's happening, just please stay at stillness. You need to stay nice and vertical, as if the rest of the body is in Tadasana. Defocus your eyes and just have long, slow breaths. And you're just going to slowly lower that right leg when you're ready to come out. Come back into mountain pose. Defocus your eyes if you haven't already done so. Just have a breath. And then from here, we'll return to the floor. And as we come back to the floor, let's go ahead and be in a nice wide-kneed child's pose for just a few breaths. So coming back to that very releasing, relaxing position. And make sure this time it's as relaxing as you can have it be. So it might be a little bend in your elbows to make it more comfortable, laying your forehead on the floor, or even bending your elbows to the extent that you can just rest your forehead on your double hands. But the idea is to really let go here and feel the low back all around the sacrum and tailbone, be able to release and relax. And see, can you extend and lengthen your breath? So you're breathing right into the back body, releasing any stress or rather tension that might be in the facial muscles or in the neck. And from here, we're going to make a very slow little shift to our tummies. So stretching the legs out and coming on to the backs of our hands. The hands are doubled, so you can just rest your forehead on the floor. Tuck your toes under. And just really nice and easy now on an inhale. I want you just to straighten your right leg. So it's you're rolling onto the foot just a little bit. Both heels are pointing up to the ceiling, but you're just focusing on your right leg, trying to lengthen it, and the knee will probably rise up off the floor. Stretch it out and then release it down. And then the next time we're focusing on the left leg. Make sure the toes are all involved evenly so you're not bringing the leg up unevenly. So when you inhale, you're just pushing the foot back. Knee and thigh comes off the floor. Feel that stretch. Exhale, release. And again, on either side, you're just inhaling. Stretching now out, straightening the right leg all the way from the gluteal muscle to the heel, and then release. Same thing on the left side again. And then release. And then let's do both sides. So your both legs are rising up. And just feel the length all the way from your tailbone right down the legs into the heels. And gently let the thighs, knees come back to the floor. Bring the toes in, heels out, and maybe move your hips side to side just a little bit. And release down. And wherever you are in this practice, we're all going to have 2 more long, slow breaths here. Very good. And then slowly we're going to make our way into lying on our backs. So just take your time with this. And just do it in a way that really feels sort of nurturing to your own body now. So we're sending the message to our nervous system that the work is over now and everything is starting to wind down. And that's what you want. Releasing arms to the sides of the body. Really full breaths. I want you to feel the weight of the body on the floor. Maybe separate the feet out just a little bit. And on your next exhale, let both knees go over to the right. Maybe press a little more on the big toe side of the left foot and feel what happens in maybe your hip joint and the side waist when you do that. And inhaling to center. And then letting both knees go over to the left and pressing a little more firmly into the big toe side of the right foot. Just feeling everything that happens. Just slowly go back and forth to either side at least another time. Your breath is long and slow. And when you feel complete with that, you can bring your feet a little closer together. And then bring your knees closer into the chest. A little separation now in your thighs, and I invite you as a sort of final pose to do Happy Baby. Remember, there's always an option where you can just bring your forearms to the backs of the knees and just loosely interlock your hands, so it's like you've made a little hammock for your legs. And that's a lot easier in the Happy Baby. But if you want to do the full pose, you'll just reach up, clasp either around the ankles or the sides of your feet. And you're always trying to just, on the exhales, encourage those knees a little closer down towards the floor, minutely. Now just notice the tiniest movements, how it translates into your low back, and the interconnectedness of the whole system. If you want to introduce a little more side to side movement, a little just rocking side to side, that's fine. See if you can go in and just see what would feel good right now. And as and when you're ready, we're all going to come into Shavasana. When you first get to Shavasana, you can just loosely put your hands on your tummy. And just for a few breaths, I want you to really direct your breathing right into the tummy, so you feel the feedback from your hands that are on the tummy. When you're inhaling, you're feeling those hands rise up a bit. And when you exhale, they descend back down. Just like that. As you inhale, you feel those hands rising up. And when you exhale, you can feel them release down. And after about 5 nice, long, slow belly breaths like that, you can release your arms to the sides of the body or palms up. Just make sure it really feels comfortable. Just allow the breath to come into a nice, natural, spontaneous rhythm. So you're enjoying this feeling of heaviness and surrender in your own body. And you're not making anything happen in the breath. You're just receiving the breath. So get that feeling that you're just passively receiving each and every breath. So, for those of you who would like to continue in Shavasana, I suggest you keep passively observing your breath, just watching the breath for the next few minutes, and stay as long as you'd like. But for those of you who would like to close out with me, you'll come up to a seated posture. So you're either remaining in Shavasana or you're coming up to seated now. And for those of you who are closing out with me, just gently put your hands to the heart. Namaste. Thank you.